Patterns of abuse, abandonment, and neglect go through families almost like a virus. It's pretty incredible to see how multiple generations will end up with the same challenges with health problems, depression, and anxiety that are actually linked to family dysfunction. And that's why I'm so vocal about my life experience. Mainly because we never really talked about how dysfunctional our family was. And I've only come to know in the last few years that so many other people have had the same challenge, that by not labeling things as abuse or dysfunctional or neglect, we don't actually get treatment for it. We kind of normalize it, and then we perpetuate it in generation after generation. So I was kind of disheartened to see a comment on my TED Talk, someone saying, oh, here's another person blaming their parents for how they turned out. And obviously this person didn't listen to the whole TED Talk, because I specifically said that I don't blame my parents. In fact, my doing the TED Talk was for me to come out of hiding and to stop feeling the shame of having lived with depression and anxiety for years. It was my attempt to draw a line in the sand between the way life used to be and the way my life is going forward. And that's really what accountability is all about. Accountability is not blaming the people or the situations or circumstances of the past that led to your present challenges. It's not that you're gonna just say that it never happened or accept bad behavior going forward, but accountability is taking responsibility for your life now and going forward. And that's really what all of us need on our journeys of recovery. Whatever you're recovering from, the first step becomes sometimes the scariest and the most challenging, because to finally put a name or a label on what you experienced can bring up so much shame. It did in my case. I came from a family where, on mom's side, coming from a West Indian culture, it was like, you want me to box your ears? It was like this threat of getting smacked upside the head if you said or did something wrong. And my dad's family, he came from Tennessee, where he frequently heard, boy, you better go out there and cut me a switch. Like, you literally had to cut a piece of a tree to get spanked with. Or things like, when your father gets home, you're going to get the belt. And going to a babysitter who regularly spanked us with a wooden spoon if we misbehaved. So that whole generation refused to call that abuse. And I realized, of course, becoming a parent myself makes all of this so much more visible, because I'm like, my God, I would never hit my child with a belt or a slipper or a hanger or a wooden spoon for doing stuff that children do. It's crazy, right? But I had to actually make that conscious labeling of my family was not only dysfunctional, there was what we would call today abuse. And it doesn't make it acceptable just because they came from a generation or a family where that was. Now that helps me, because I realize they were just reproducing what they knew. They didn't have the consciousness, that they did later in life. Like, my father experienced incredible regret and told me tearfully how bad he felt about how he treated me and my brother and sister. And, I've been able to forgive him. My mom as well. She lost her mom when she was just 10 years old. So she never had a good example of mothering. So I can, with compassion, forgive her for not being able to provide what she never had in the first place. And I'm grateful that in the end, before my mom lost her memory, we were able to make peace. And that's important in the process. And I know that not everybody gets that opportunity. So I'm just reminding you that you're not alone. If you are just kind of coming to terms with the level of dysfunction that you grew up in that has led to health challenges. I mean, we know that those adverse childhood experiences of growing up in a household where there's lots of abuse or harsh criticism, emotional and physical neglect or abandonment, seeing a family member abused, or of course growing up with someone who's abusing alcohol or substances, poverty, discrimination, being bullied or teased, or any of the isms, racism and homophobia, like all of those adverse childhood experiences affect us. And then there's a link between the health conditions that people will see as a result. This is the famous ACE study. You can check out the link to one of my blogs if you really want to read about it. And you can even take a quiz to find out your ACE score. So ACE, adverse childhood experiences. Like, for me to take that score, that test, and find out that I scored 4. At first it was kind of depressing, like, fuck. But the good news about recognizing how you were impacted by ACEs means you can start to heal and recover. As long as you stay in denial, as long as you're just not going to call it what it was, the more you stay in secrecy and denial, the more that energy stays within. And the trauma that your inner child experienced, or your inner teenager, it's still there. The good news is that even though it may have tweaked your nervous system, leading to anxiety or PTSD or anything else, you can still take steps to heal and recover. Even now, I'm healing, even now at the age of 50. I've experienced so much recovery in these years. It hasn't been always smooth sailing, but it allowed me to break free from the dysfunction and find my true self, find my authentic voice, and to set up my life in a way that I'm living my truth. I'm living as my authentic self, unapologetically. And that has allowed me to be able to just wake up with a sense of peace. After so many years, waking up wishing that I hadn't woken up that day. So anyway, thank you for joining me, for joining us for our little walk along the beach. As we process life together, just know that you're not alone. We're all in this together. We are one family after all. So if you need some support, join me on the second Tuesday of the month, where I lead the Real Self-Love movement. It's live coaching, discussion, and guided meditation, so that you can connect with the inner child, connect with, your inner parent or a compassion figure to heal. We recover in community. It's totally free and it's totally freeing. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.